Well, what is happening, movie fans? Welcome back to the channel. I am D-WIZZLE, and guess what happened recently? I just hit 300 subscribers. Literally, words can't describe how happy I am that I made it this far. As I said before, I know that this is nothing. 300 subscribers is nothing. There's YouTubers that have thousands of subscribers and millions of subscribers. They're actually able to make a living off of this. But it's never been about that for me. I mean, it's nice. It would be nice if I could make a living off of this, and that's probably something that I'll reach for at some point. But it's mainly been about, I just like talking about movies. I like to have discussions with people. That's what it's always been about. I enjoy doing this. So, I'm glad you guys enjoy watching me. I'm glad you guys tolerate all my crazy hot takes and strange opinions. I'm glad you guys enjoy my, my videos, and I hope to give you guys more of what you guys love. So, thank you for 300 subscribers. Wow. But yeah, I am on the couch again. I'm back on the couch for all of you OG D-WIZZLE fans. I'm kind of liking this couch setting. I may think about bringing this back for more videos. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want me to bring back the couch, or you guys like my my white background that I have? But today I was thinking, what could I do to celebrate 300 subscribers? What would be a nice video for you guys? Let's talk about Zack Snyder. Specifically, let's talk about his films. I think it'd be perfect because 300, that's one of his movies. And Zack Snyder is one of my favorite directors. I know he's a very controversial filmmaker out there, but I still really enjoy his movies. So I thought, hey, why don't I do a ranking? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to rank all 9 films of Zack Snyder. No, there's not 10, unlike some websites claim that there is. Variety. Yeah, it's only 9 movies because I'm not counting that 2017 garbage fest that was Justice League, the 2017 theatrical cut of Justice League. That was not Zack Snyder's movie, so I'm not counting that. There's only been 9 films that was thoroughly Snyder's films. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to rank all 9 movies from worst to best, and yeah, that's what we're going to do. So as always, this is just my opinion. This is just my take. You guys don't have to agree with it. At the end of the day, my opinions are trash, and I am fully okay with that. But if you guys are Zack Snyder fans and you watched all his movies and you don't agree with my list per se, I want to know how would you rank all of his movies? Comment below your ranking. And also, if you're not Zack Snyder fans, I don't know why you're watching this. This is clearly not the video for you, and if you just came here to troll, go away. We don't need this negativity right now. I appreciate the view. Thank you very much. But anyway, let's move on to this list, starting with number 9. And number 9 is Sucker Punch. So this is the only Snyder movie that I don't really enjoy watching. Like, this is the one I don't really care for. I don't think the movie is awful. I think there's some interesting ideas in here. But I just felt like the story didn't come together enough for me. I know there's an overlying theme of like women empowerment and dealing with abuse and stuff like that, but I just felt like that message and theme didn't come around all the way for me. The characters I thought were fine. There wasn't really anyone that blew my mind. The main girl in the movie I thought was interesting, but like it still came off bland in places. And overall, the visual aesthetic I thought was cool. There's a lot of shots and set pieces that look like something out of a Final Fantasy game, and shots that look like they came out of a comic or an anime. So I do like it on like the action set pieces part. Whenever there's like a dream sequence, I mean, when I'm not thinking too hard about what it means for the overall story, like I can enjoy it, just as a cool action set piece. But I just couldn't get into it, story wise. So it's a kind of a star-studded cast, but I don't know. I just wish that the story came around better. I just couldn't get into it. I know that there's a fan base for this movie. There's like kind of a cult following for this film, and it's great if you guys enjoy this one. Just for me, it just didn't. It's just not for me. It didn't work. But I haven't seen the extended cut of Sucker Punch. I don't know how much it adds to the film. I don't know if it'll change my overall thoughts. I might give it a chance in the future, but I'm not in a rush to see it. But yeah, that's number 9, Sucker Punch. Moving on to number 8. Number 8 is Snyder's first movie, Dawn of the Dead, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, written by James Gunn. So I talked about this lightly on my Army of the Dead review. I enjoyed this movie fine. I am a zombie movie fan, so this is the type of film that I would enjoy. But it's a fine zombie film. I had a good time with it. There's some cool things that they do in the movie. I think it's a very faithful remake of George Romero's original Dawn of the Dead. I thought it was a very respectful remake. It introduced some new ideas while staying in the spirit of the original, so I really appreciated that. And James Gunn wrote this movie too. I'm honestly not a huge fan of James Gunn outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, and as far as his writing for this, while I still thought there was some strange stuff that he put in this movie, I thought overall his writing for this movie was pretty solid. This really felt like an early 2000s Snyder movie, though. It's not like the modern Snyder films that we're used to with the slow motion and cinematography and the sophisticated storytelling. It wasn't really on that level yet, as I said, because it's Snyder's first movie. So his overall aesthetic and his style, he hasn't really crafted it as well yet. You could tell. You could really feel early 2000s with the hyper stylized editing and the late 90s, early 2000s rock music and the oversaturated colors that's in this film. But overall, I did think that the character dynamics in the movie I thought were really good, and took itself really seriously. You can get yourself into the drama with all the characters, and the zombie action was really good as always. And as I said, there's some creative stuff that he does with the zombies. The zombie baby, that's what most people talk about when they reference this film, and that's a really crazy thing to add in the zombie movie, but I digged it. But overall, yeah, it's not one of my favorite Snyder films, but I still had a good time with it. I probably would revisit every once in a while, but as I said, I don't really feel the need to revisit over and over again like his later films. But yeah, overall, it was a good start for Snyder. Okay, going to number 7. Number 7, we're continuing on the zombie theme. It is Army of the Dead. So this movie recently came out, so I haven't had a lot of time to just think about it and simmer with the movie. And as I said, when I did my Army of the Dead review, there's still some things in there that confuses me from a story perspective and a world building perspective. And I feel like once the prequel and the anime series on Netflix gets released, it'll flesh out some stuff that I didn't necessarily dig in Army of the Dead. But judging it now, I think this is a really enjoyable zombie movie. It is a step up to Dawn of the Dead. This is unhinged Snyder. He wrote, directed, produced, did his own photography for this movie. So you're getting everything from Snyder's head in this film, and I almost feel like it was a good and bad thing for this movie. While he gets more creative with the zombie concepts, he's introducing new things that's possibly extraterrestrial and stuff would have to do with Area 51 and other stuff like that, and creating alpha zombies, zombie tigers, zombie horses. There's like different classes of zombies. Like, I think all that is interesting, and the overall the human dynamic, with Batista and the people in the heist. I think all the character stuff is very human and emotional, and I felt for the characters. I just feel like the overall story was all over the place with that film. And when he's like introducing certain concepts for the zombie films, he doesn't flesh it out enough. He just puts it in there like Easter eggs, and it just doesn't flow very well, because like there's so many ideas he's trying to put into this film, and it doesn't feel coherent. And it's for this to become a launch pad for a new zombie franchise. Like, there's some really strange decisions made in this first movie where I'm like, there's some missed opportunities for them to expand on stuff, and I just felt like the script could have been more refined, and Snyder could have just held back a little bit. I know he had to deal with a lot of crap with WB when it came to the Snyder Cut, of him being shackled all the way through, and Warner Brothers giving him a bunch of notes and telling him to change the stuff that he wanted to do for his film. So he deserves every right to do whatever he wants with this movie. I just feel like he could have took a little more time focusing on the stuff that mattered in this film, and the stuff that he wanted to use for world building, he could have explained it more, he could have fleshed it out more. It's just my opinion, but yeah, that's why it's so low on the list. I know a lot of people love this movie, but I just haven't gotten there yet. Going to number 6. Number 6 is Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. So for the longest time, I didn't even know this was a Zack Snyder movie. I didn't even know he did any animated films. And, watching it recently, it makes a lot of sense that this is a Zack Snyder film, because there's a lot of aesthetics and, style-wise that fits perfectly with Snyder. There's the slow motion, there's the cinematography, there's the deep, underlying themes in the movie. And I feel this is a very underrated animated film. Not a lot of people talk about this movie. But yeah, I found myself really invested in these owls. They have some really, adult themes and storytelling in this movie that I didn't really expect. And then, they're owls. I didn't expect to get a lot of emotion from these characters, but I did. And the action sequences I thought were really cool. Snyder really brought his A game to these animated owls. And again, you wouldn't think that there's a lot of cool things you could do with owls, but there was quite a few moments where I found myself on the edge of my seat, and that was really, really cool. So, if you guys haven't seen this movie, I really recommend you guys watching this. I know a lot of people forgot about this film, haven't even watched it before, but yeah, this is a Zack Snyder movie, and I feel like it's very underrated, underappreciated. So yeah, I really enjoy Legend of the Guardians. It's a really good movie. Alright, now we're about to get into the top 5. Top 5, let's go. Alright, so number 5 is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition. Yes, Batman v Superman is in my top 5. Deal with it. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people that don't enjoy this movie. It still gets a lot of hate. It leaves a divide in the comic book fandom. But you know what? I enjoy it quite a bit. Do I think this movie is perfect? No, not by any means. But I think there's some really great things in this movie. And even the stuff that I think is weird or kind of bad, it doesn't ruin my overall enjoyment of the movie. As I said, there's enough great things in this film where I'm like, I just have a good time with it. First of all, being a long-time Batman and Superman fan, it's just really happy to see both of these characters in the same movie for the first time. It's such a moment, I mean, I know there could be a whole argument of that Snyder didn't handle these characters as well as they should have, but for me, I I really been enjoying Snyder's portrayal of the DC films, and this movie I thought it was a very enjoyable film, and Wonder Woman was really good. This is the first introduction in the film as well, and I thought Gal Gadot did a good job, and she was one of those actresses that I was really hesitant on when she was casted as a Wonder Woman, but she proved me wrong. I liked Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He's not my definitive Lex, but I thought he was a good Lex for the story that Snyder was trying to tell. Yes, I did feel this movie was a bit overstuffed. I feel like they were trying to put too much in this movie. They're worried so much about setting up for a Justice League film when they should have just focused on the rivalry and the dynamic between Batman and Superman. I think it could have made this movie more coherent. But even so, I still liked a good amount of this movie. The Doomsday stuff, I wasn't a big fan of, and Superman being killed in the second movie, I'm still kind of mixed on. But I understood what Snyder was trying to do story-wise. Part of this overall 5-movie arc with this film, because he never came to this movie expecting to create a huge franchise out of this. He wanted to make his own self-contained story. So as a self-contained story, I could go with it. And then yes, the Martha stuff, whatever. People hate the scene. People think it's stupid. Like, I didn't mind the Martha scene. I understood what Snyder was trying to go for with it. If you guys hate the Martha scene, that's fine. I'm not here to change your mind, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine. But yeah, I thought the action sequences were really cool. I like that they deconstructed, Batman, Superman, to make them more human, especially Batman, because a lot of people see him as this perfect superhero that can do no wrong, and he's on top of everything. But I like that they took him down a couple of notches and made him an imperfect character. He's making mistakes, he's making irrational decisions, but then he realizes the error of his ways by the time we get to the end of the movie because of Superman's inspiration. And Superman, still going through the struggle of trying to figure out his place in the world. He's not the perfect Boy Scout that we're used to. He's actually going through real life struggles. He's more relatable. He's not perfect. That's what I appreciate about this version of Superman, and they enforce that theme in this movie, and I really appreciated that. I really like that. I'm trying not to go into a full review of Batman v Superman because I can go like two hours talking about this movie, but overall I like Batman v Superman. Sorry if that makes people mad, but that's my honest opinion. I still like it after all these years. Is there problems with the movie? Oh yes. Did they shoehorn stuff in here that could have waited for other films? Absolutely. Didn't need the setup for Justice League. Didn't need the nightmare sequences, but I was along for the ride, And by the time we get to Zack Snyder's Justice League, stuff paid off in this movie. So there we go. Anyway, going to number 4. Number 4 is the director's cut of Watchmen. So I think the director's cut, the specific director's cut, even though I appreciate the Ultimate Edition because they had the Black Freighter stuff, it put everything in there. As a Watchmen fan, I do appreciate that, but I feel like the definitive version of Watchmen is the director's cut. If we're going off of the theatrical, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I feel like they cut out a lot of really important stuff in that movie, and it felt very confusing when I first watched it. But then when I saw the director's cut and they put all the footage back in, or most of the footage back in, stuff made a lot more sense. It felt like a better adaptation of the book. I know a lot of people who are fans of the Watchmen book say that this is a movie that should never have been made. There's no way you can create a film version of Watchmen. But me who read the book and is a fan of the book, I think this is a pretty good adaptation of the novel. Is it perfect? No. There's still some themes in here I feel like Snyder didn't fully understand, but for the most part, I think he did a good job adapting this novel for the modern era. He did a good job modernizing some ideas to make the movie going audience understand the themes better. I know for people, like, especially when it came to the ending of the movie, like he changed, he's been changing some stuff, and a lot of people didn't like what the stuff that he changed, but I appreciated what he changed. I just felt like when it comes to the Watchmen novel, it is very sophisticated, and I do feel like it's ahead of its time. And I feel like people today who haven't read it won't fully understand all the themes and all the stuff that the book's trying to say. But like, I feel like Snyder did his best to just make a good adaptation. I didn't feel like this was disrespectful. I didn't feel like he took too many liberties with it. I feel like it was in the spirit of what the novel was, and I just really appreciate what he did with it. Of course, the action sequences are really cool. I really like the world that Snyder created for this movie. Night Owl, Rorschach, the Comedian, Silk Spectre, Dr. Manhattan, Ozymandias. I thought all of them were really interesting, and I liked that this was different from the typical superhero movies that we're used to, where they're more optimistic, they're more family friendly, and the superheroes are perfect, they don't make a lot of mistakes. But this is one of the first superhero movies or media that try to bring superheroes into the real world, and it's more grimy and gritty and stuff like that. Before we had stuff like The Boys or Invincible on Amazon, or Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix, or the Titan show. Before all that happened, Watchmen was one of the first movies to really put superheroes in a more dark, gritty adult setting, and actually making us question the morals of superheroes. I feel like a lot of people tend to forget what Snyder's Watchmen movie set the groundwork for stuff like that. So I really liked what he did with the movie. And I feel like as far as Snyder's style, I feel like it's on full display with this movie. The slow motion, the colors, the comic book shots, like it's in full display. Like even like the opening credits of this movie, some of the best opening credits I've seen in the film. And yeah, just really underrated DC film, and an underrated Snyder film at that fact. And this comes from a Watchmen fan. I think this is a good movie. I think this is a good adaptation of the book. That's my opinion. Okay, we're going to the top three. So the number 3 is 300. How poetic, 300. I totally didn't do that on purpose, but truly, this is how I feel. 300. This is the movie that put Snyder on the map. A lot of people associate Snyder with this movie, and I can see why. This is an awesome film. This is a great adaptation of the 300 novel, and this type of style that this movie has, it's unlike any movie that I've seen, just as far as the color grading, the slow motion, the way Snyder, just his overall cinematography, his aesthetic, his, just overall, his action sequences, the way he directs characters. It's some of the most iconic things I've seen in the film, man. It's so cool. Even for people that haven't read the novel, it's just a really hyper stylized, really just feels like straight out of a comic panel. It's just really cool. There's some really iconic moments. Gerard Butler, steals the show. Just overall, just such an amazing movie. I really enjoy it. All right, number 2. And number 2, well, these next 2 films, you guys probably aren't surprised that these are in the top 2. But here we go. Number 2 is Man of Steel. Man of Steel, you guys know I am a huge Superman fan. I grew up with the character. He's one of my favorite superheroes ever. And I grew up with most iterations of Superman when it came to Christopher Reeve, Smallville. I've seen Superman and Lois, Superman the Animated Series. I've seen some stuff on the CW recently. Brendan Routh in Superman Returns. So I've seen every iteration of Superman. And in my opinion, Henry Cavill is my favorite. You know, other than the animated series, because I think that's the definitive version of Superman. But Henry Cavill is my favorite live action Superman. I just really appreciated that Snyder once again is making Superman more of a humanistic character. You know, like he's bringing him down to our level. He's making him more relatable. He's not making him a perfect, you know, character. He's going through struggles. He's dealing with inner conflict. And I just really appreciate that, because a lot of people complain how Superman is not relatable because, you know, he's so overpowered and he's such a Boy Scout, and, you know, his morals doesn't match with, you know, today's society. And so Snyder was like, you know what? Then let's bring him into our world. You know, let's see how Superman deals with our real life, you know, politics, and how, you know, a post 9/11, you know, era and stuff like that. That's exactly what he did, though people still don't appreciate what he did with it. You know, it almost seems like people don't know what they want when it comes to Superman, you know. And even though I still appreciate the Boy Scout nature of Superman, and I personally am not bothered by how powerful Superman is, I just found it really interesting that they just literally did, like, what would happen if Superman was in our world? You know, how would the planet react? How would Superman react to humanity? You know, what would happen if he would have to deal with his own kind? You know, and I thought it was really effective. You know, and I liked that it was more of a sci-fi story. It was more like a First Contact story. I really appreciate that they went more sci-fi, because Superman is an alien, so I like that they, you know, push more of the alien factor in this movie, but still keeping the essence of what Superman is. But as I said, Henry Cavill was great. Russell Crowe, Amy Adams. I like her as Lois Lane. I know there's some people that don't like her as Lois Lane, but I do. But mainly because she acts more like Lana Lang than Lois, because I don't care about the Lois Lane character in general. So I appreciate that there's a Lana Lang aspect to Amy Adams' performance. But I did like her, Lawrence Fishburne, Michael Shannon. There's just so many actors in this movie that did such a good job. It's a star-studded cast. But yeah, this is my favorite Superman film. I know there's people that love the Christopher Reeve movies, and you guys can continue to enjoy them. And, you know, the first two Christopher Reeve movies still hold a special place in my heart. But personally, I just feel like Man of Steel is a better made film, and I still think it holds up. You know, it holds up to this day. There's some things in the Christopher Reeve movies that are dated, in my opinion, and even the Brandon Routh Superman Returns, I felt, even though it had good intentions, there's some stuff in there that I didn't really like. But yeah, overall, Man of Steel, I think it's the best live action Superman movie. And I really wish that they'll do more with Henry Cavill's Superman. I want a Man of Steel 2. You know, I wouldn't even mind a trilogy from it, but I just want to see more from Henry Cavill's Superman, because I just enjoy it so much. But anyway, going to the top one. Number one. Well, like I said, it's probably not a surprise to a lot of you, but, you know, here it is. Number one is Zack Snyder's Justice League. The Snyder Cut of Justice League. Being a big DC fan, a big Justice League fan, this is a movie that I thought I would never get, you know. I've always wanted a live action Justice League movie, and I've always imagined what would Zack Snyder do with a Justice League movie, and I'm glad I got it. This movie's great, man. I love it. Not only did they redeem the god-awful crap that came out in 2017 with Joss Whedon and the reshoots and stuff like that, but overall, I think this is just, it's a great superhero movie, you know? I think all the characters in the film did such a really good job. It's such a huge film, you know? It feels almost like a Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War level of, you know, of scope, and it's the first Justice League film, so I feel like it did so much for, you know, for this first movie, with the world building and establishing characters, And this is coming off of, Batman v Superman, where they had to shoehorn in, 3 of the main Justice League members to set him up for this movie. And this film did a good job fleshing out everyone. I thought everyone had their moment in this movie. Ben Affleck is Batman, Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, Henry Cavill is Superman, Jason Momoa is Aquaman, Ray Fisher's Cyborg, Ezra Miller's Flash. I thought all of them did really, really well, and they were such a step up from that 2017 version, because the 2017 version made them look like jokes and absolute fools. But in this movie, Snyder's treating them with the absolute respect that they deserve. And even there's appearances from other characters like Martian Manhunter, and there's a Green Lantern, Lex Luthor is in here, and the Joker. I enjoyed so much from this movie. Steppenwolf looks so much better than he did in the 2017 version. He's actually a threat. He actually has an arc in this movie. I just really like that. And Darkseid in a live action Justice League movie, like, I can't believe it actually happened, but it's just, he was great and awesomely, he had, awesome voice acting from Ray Porter. Man, it was everything that I wanted as a DC fan, not just as a Zack Snyder fan, but as a DC fan, I feel like even people that didn't enjoy Man of Steel and BVS, they came around with this movie. They actually, enjoyed this film for the most part. So it shows that Snyder does care about these characters, and he understands, the overall DC universe. While he has his own take with it, it's not perfect, perfectly, matches with the comics, but, if we're going back to other films that people enjoy, like Tim Burton's Batman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, stuff like that, they weren't 100% perfect from the comics. The directors had their own stamp on this movie, but we still really enjoyed them. They still felt in the spirit and respectful to the source material, and I feel like Snyder is doing the same thing. Now, there may be some choices that diehard DC fans may not agree with. I'm one of them. There's some decisions that Snyder makes in this movie that I wouldn't necessarily do with these characters, but you can't deny the passion, and like I said, the respect that Snyder has for these characters. They treat them like actual gods, and I feel like that's a perfect way to represent these characters, because they are larger than life. They are gods, they are very powerful beings, but at the same time, they feel relatable as people. I feel like they did a really good balance. They made them relatable. They all go through their own personal struggles, and that's how we feel for them more and root for them more as characters and as heroes. There'll still be some Snyder haters out there. They'll be like, this is not the Justice League movie that I want, or there's stuff in here that I don't like. I don't like the choices that Snyder made still, and that's fine. I'm not expecting everyone to love this movie. People have their own tastes, but in my opinion, it's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. It may go down as one of my favorite films of all time. I don't care if that makes people mad. That's just my opinion. I think this movie is going to stand the test of time. It's going to hold up for years. We're still going to be talking about this movie, when we're old and gray and stuff like that. I just think this movie is great. I love this film. But yeah, that is my top 9 list of Zack Snyder's films. So, what did you guys think about my list? Do you guys agree with me? If you don't, go ahead, comment below your list. How would you rank all of Snyder's films? But yeah, that is my ranking. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And hit that bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. Once again, I want to thank you guys for helping me reach 300 subscribers. Let's get another 300 more. Let's get the road to 500 subscribers, and then we get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's keep it moving, man. But thank you guys. But that's all I have for you movie fans and Snyder fans, and I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.